Hi everybody, Derek Simon, editor of US Racing, and I'm here at beautiful Del Mar Racetrack, and it's actually very convenient because I'm on the rooftop. So if things go badly with the races today and tomorrow, or excuse me, tomorrow and Saturday, got a nice little vantage point to jump off. Wanted to talk about the races on Friday to begin with, starting with the Juvenile Fillies Turf. And in that race, it's very interesting, just a few key points, but horses with a Brisnet Turf figure of less than 110 in both of the Juvenile Turf events, won for 104. This is important because we've got several key contenders in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf in particular. Among them, Capla Tempest being one that has a Brisnet Turf rating of less than 110. Best Performance, also a turf rating of less than 110. And in fact, the favorite, or one of the favorites, Rushing Fall with 7-2 on the morning line, a figure of less than 10. Another really interesting point I found had to do with Lasix, and particularly first-time Lasix. You would think that with first-time Lasix you would do well, or better at least in turf events, because there are so many Euro imports. That's not necessarily true. In fact, it's flat out not true. The dirt performers actually do better. And the really interesting thing to me is horses that had a race since their, a workout since their last race, just 1 for 27 when going, 0 for 27 when going first time Lasix. Let's turn our attention now to the Dirt Mile. Dirt Mile, another very interesting race. And here, the big thing is meeting the par in the Dirt Mile. You know, people talk all the time about speed not being meaningful. It absolutely is. And the Dirt Mile, a classic example of this. Horses that were able to meet the par in one of their last two races, and here I'm talking about the Brisnet Speed Par, have turned profits throughout the history of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. So you have several in this race, one of them being Sharp Azteca, also More Spirit and Accelerate. Those are the three. Now, Baffert is doing something very interesting, and it starts here in the Dirt Mile, in that he's bringing in a lot of horses off of a layoff, and it's particularly a long layoff. And so with this particular race, you've got a horse that is one of the favorites, More Spirit, coming in off of a 100-day layoff, actually more than that. But horses coming in off of a 100-day layoff have vastly underperformed. So this business of a fresh horse, simply not true. 0.42 impact value for horses coming in off of a layoff of 100 days or more. Granted, not in. Let's move on now to the Juvenile Turf event. Here it has been dominated by foreign shippers. 7 of 10 winners of the Juvenile Turf have been foreign shippers. So you have several in this race. I won't go through all of them, but we'll have it up on the screen. Another important criteria in the Juvenile Turf is having decent form. That's pretty much true in most of the juvenile events. With the horses being so young, having good form is a very good thing. Really interesting aspect relating to my pace profile report, and I'll try to make those available. But horses that have a dominant speed advantage have not done well in turf events at all. In fact, they have not won. 0 for 11. In dirt events, they are 11 for 20. We have one of those horses in this race, and of course I'm talking about voting control. Lastly, I want to take a look at the Distaff. This race is always one of the highlights of the Breeders' Cup event, if you will. And here, speed rules, and not just overall speed, but front speed. In the Distaff, 13 of the 20 winners since 1997 had a front-running style. Now, of course, I'm looking at my own definition of that, but the horses that qualify this year include Paradise Woods. You also have Stellar Wind and Champagne Room. Champagne Room in particular is interesting because she meets a couple of the criterion that I typically look at and is 15-1 on the morning line. The other thing I mentioned, speed, and how speed, whether people want to admit it or not, it does very well in racing. It's definitely true in the Distaff as well. 9 of 43 horses with a pace profile report, speed figure of 100 or greater, have won the Distaff. So that's what I would look for in the Distaff, speed being a very important criterion. No matter what you do, though, I hope you enjoy the races, and hopefully I won't be jumping off this roof.